Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle. I am your host, Colette Darville. Cultivating our body's resilience and inner silence and its application to all aspects of your life. Let's become enlightened and enjoy the power of intuitiveness and creativity. You are listening to Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Colette Darville, and this is Yin Yoga Lifestyle. So now let us take a deep meditative breath. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Kathy Lopes was raised in New Jersey and Hollywood, Florida. She is a retired occupational therapist who received her Bachelor of Science in Occupational Therapy in Florida International University. Kathy began her career in the area of adult rehabilitation, but then found her true calling was the area of pediatrics. Kathy provided treatment in both a private sensory clinic as well as a preschool dedicated to serving prenatally substance-exposed infants and toddlers. Working for the school board of Broward County, Florida for 20 years, Kathy provided therapy services to children with varying exceptionalities and development disabilities. The last 10 of those years, Kathy spent as an evaluation specialist who traveled throughout the country evaluating children and young adults ranging from 3 to 21 years of age. Today, Kathy has found a new career as an artist, developing her talent for painting and drawing while encouraging and enjoying her fellow art students. Laurie Sutton was raised in Rochester, New York, and attended the State University of New York, Oswego, where she majored in history and minored in education. After many a family vacation took place in Florida and the sand was in her shoes, she moved to Florida permanently to teach. Laurie received a master's in guidance and counseling and became a high school counselor soon thereafter. After several years as a guidance counselor, she moved to the role of guidance director at Stranahan High School. She continued graduate work to earn her administration and supervision credentials. Laurie joined the Broward School's district administration, where she served as the BRACE coordinator and then high school guidance coordinator until her retirement in 2007. In 2009, she returned to education for 4 additional years, this time returning to her roots. She served as the guidance director at another Broward High School in 2013. Laurie considers herself a lucky woman to have had the time and still has the time to enjoy traveling with her husband both on land and sea and on their boat Moonbeam. She does yoga, antiquing, and her newfound hobby, art. So every Monday afternoon, Kathy and Laurie gather up their art supplies and head out to meet and create art. Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle, Kathy and Laurie.
Good afternoon, Colette.
Wonderful to have you here. And I know that we have lots to talk about. So I'm going to ask Kathy. I'm going to put the one question out there, and then Kathy, maybe you could answer first, and then Laurie could answer. But so after demanding careers, I mean, you both have had pretty demanding careers and raising families. So you've now found a connection through the making of art. Is it the friendship or the art that inspires you week after week? Kathy?
I have to say it's probably both. When I started taking the art classes, it was for the art. But as the classes have, continued and I've made so many wonderful friendships with the other students in the class, and it seems more like now a girl's wonderful day out. So not only do we get to enjoy creating and learning, but we really get to enjoy each other and learning about each other's lives.
Yeah. And what about you, Laurie?
Well, I definitely agree with Kathy. It is both, and that was just like an extra little treasure that I didn't know I was going to get. I realize that now, looking back, that not working, I really miss the companionship of men and women, but especially women. And it's great that we have all of us together, and we're so very different. And it's interesting, as Kathy said, to hear what we're doing, what our lives are doing. And then that's just the half of it. The friendship, the art is just wonderful and amazing.
And you both are, I mean, did you both realize you were artistic?
No.
So it was a big surprise.
Part of it. Yes, very surprised. And what I find is that being with the other women is that you learn from them. You not only get to enjoy seeing what you're creating and learning about what you're creating, but as you watch the other women working, it's just such a wonderful learning experience with them as well. And it's not even our creation.
So see, and you're supporting each other.
Yes, it's a really wonderful group.
So many people would love to take an art class. And so many people say, "Oh yes, I one day I'm gonna take an art class." But it might feel as if sometimes putting themselves out there makes them feel a little bit apprehensive. What would you say to them? And is this something that you experienced?
And who would you like to answer that first?
You know what? Kathy. Sorry about that.
I think that it was one of the scariest things I have done as far as putting myself out there.
That's why you didn't speak up.
Maybe. But I have enjoyed every minute of it because I found that I'm enjoying opening up that part of myself. And I look forward to it so much. I dream about it.
I love that. What about you, Laurie?
Definitely, I was apprehensive because I felt I had never had any kind of training, and I thought, I'm not an artist. I can do stick figures, But I knew that I had a creative side to my personality, and then found out that it needed an outlet other than buying more pillows and moving the furniture around, which how many times can you do that? So now I have an end product, a piece of art that I eventually finished. But and I think apprehension also comes from putting yourself out there because it's an extension of you, the piece of work that you are doing, the piece of art that you're doing, and you feel a little bit vulnerable. And especially also if you're a competitive person and you want to do it well and you see how the other friends are painting and you think, you might have that little niggly feeling. There's your word, Colette.
That's my word.
I'm not quite doing as well, but you learn that doesn't matter. You're just doing, you're learning. And also if you have the right teacher, which I happen to think we do have, who leads you along slowly and reassures you and tells you, be brave.
Be brave.
Right.
Be brave.
And guide you with love. And that makes all the difference. And I would highly recommend anyone who's out there and wants to try art or yoga or anything else, try it. The worst thing that can happen to you is you find you don't enjoy it and you want to move on to try something else.
Right. Well said. That was well said for both of you. So, of course, I love reading studies on things. And, I read a recent study that was conducted on a newly retired group of people and these people were tested before and after a 10-week course where they created art. And, the study was designed to see if art production enhances the functional interplay of the brain. and what they discovered was that spending 10 weeks creating art had a significant improvement in psychological resilience attributed to aging, as well as higher levels of brain functional connectivity. So have you found that making art has changed your perspective about yourself, Kathy?
Yes, it's changed my perspective about myself. I'm learning to be a little kinder to myself and let myself try to express myself in different ways and not be so hard on myself if I don't get it right exactly the first time.
Right.
And also I'm finding that I look at things in my environment much differently. I really am enjoying the colors and how they go together, and just at a sunset or a sunrise or a beautiful flower, and it just changes your outlook on things, I think.
Yeah, it really does. Makes you really look in a different way than you have never looked before. Laurie, what about you?
Well, I think for me, that's probably a little bit of the reason why I went back to work for 4 additional years, and I didn't understand it at the time, but that I wanted a little bit of challenge. I wanted to be busy, and I think that translates to using my brain. And so I know that now that I am completely retired, definitely our art classes cause me to use my brain power much more. You're concentrating so much on trying to get a certain effect, or what colors should I use, or how do I mix these 2 colors to get this exact color. So there is a great deal of concentration. On the flip side, it's very relaxing. But the concentration part, I know some days I come home from art and I'm pretty worn out. And so I know that's a good thing. That's it's good to be worn out and have that brain used.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kathy, you've had the same experience?
Oh, yes. You get tired. You can get really tired. And I also find, but it's a good tired because you feel like you really accomplished something for the day. And it also requires an extreme amount of problem solving, which is very good for your brain.
Now
it sure is.
And I know that you're both in, Laurie, you're a counselor, and Kathy, you are an occupational therapist. So, with your knowledge of your careers, do you see or did you ever see the play, the interaction for Kathy between the children and maybe some occupational therapy based in art?
Oh yes, I use a lot of art-based therapy sessions because with a child, when you're working with children, I used to tell everyone I was very fortunate because I got paid to play.
Right.
So I would either be, if I'm working on fine motor skills or trying to somehow improve their cognitive thinking skills or something with regard to that, or visual motor skills, I would often use arts and crafts to help me do that because they would have to focus and sometimes, paint on a line or copy an activity. And you would see the joy they would receive from that, as well as how they would improve functionally.
Yeah. So it really does have an effect on the brain.
Yes, it does. And like with the increased synapses, as you decide to try new activities, your brain will increase the synapses between the neurons. So, it's just all good in so many ways, right?
Right, it absolutely is, and if it can do that for children, why can't it do that for older adults, right, or adults in general who maybe try to be creative and experience being creative? Laurie, do you have? I mean, you were a counselor. Could you sort of talk about a little bit about maybe some creativity that you sort of implemented when you were a counselor? I mean, did you ever see profound effects of creativity come into situations or solutions?
Well, what comes to mind, because as a high school counselor, we did a lot of scheduling and preparation for receiving your diploma, getting the right credits. But there's always room for elective courses. So